Did rewrite it. You are live. What's up, YouTube? So we're live back on YouTube and Instagram. So we're gonna start spoken word right now. Okay. I am going to read something for you. For years, okay, this is handwritten. For years, my mom thought I didn't love her. That was the most hurtful thing. This wind and sound. I believe that paper flew out the window. What the hell? That is crazy. But I was prepared. I took photos of that joint. Okay, I found it. I found it. One of them times I could have overreacted. Just a little patience. All right, all right. Here we go. Me. Oh man. For years, my mom thought I didn't love her. That was the most hurtful thing. When in reality, it's my actual love for her that makes her burden too much for me to be complacent and complicit in. For over a decade, our relationship has been strained because I haven't been able to provide for her a lot of things, but most specifically, a positive relationship with her other son. The term brother holds no weight over here in these parts, biologically for me at least. I am an only child. He is not welcome to my funeral, and I won't be at his, whoever goes first. The Bible says, honor thy mother and father, and your days will be long. If honoring you requires me to shrink as a man who God assigned as a protector and provider for your peace, to allow the type of disrespect I've been expected to witness and turn a blind eye to has been unacceptable and not an option. On top of her mother bear maternal instincts of unconditional love and defense mechanisms against even me, I removed myself from her environment and started my own life. As I was too married and committed to the most toxic relationship in the world, home. I do not have any biological children, yet I have endured the strains and stresses of not only baby mama drama, but the burden of the idea and concept of abandonment. I have been accused of hate and resentment. My unconditional love for her has been challenged and misinterpreted. Forgiveness has been expected of me, while the disrespect I'm supposed to observe and allow increases still to this day. She's the victim, I'm the bad guy, who wouldn't even have to overstep my boundary and roles if her eldest son, if fathers were present in the picture. How could he and I be friends if I'm always in corrective mode in support of her? Her heartbreak of the strained relationship with her youngest son transpires into cathartic release to other family members. Gossip, basically, that maybe unintentionally, but in all reality becomes a smear campaign. That strained relationship, that strained my relationship with the rest of my family. First off, because they're hearing from her perspective and left to form their own opinions and choose a side. So I went from one big happy social life and family to extreme isolation very quickly, which evolved to different levels of depression and the darkest of seasons throughout my 20s and my 30s. At least annually, usually around her birthday, I'd get the annual guilt trip that send me straight to the hospital. We'd argue and I would blow up like a balloon with inflammation. I rarely get sick and take health and fitness very seriously as a student, track and field athlete, a yogi adult, calisthenics enthusiast, and avid gym goer. Yet every time she'd throw one of those fits, I'd get sick. Sometimes I'd post selfies from the hospital, but no one would ever know why. For my health, I had to cut her off. 2015 to present, which is 2026 at the moment. Well, this time, in retrospect, I've experienced and observed a 3-year decline with my health, so much so that my physical appearance started to evolve a little too rapidly. It impacted my modeling career enough that I stopped auditioning, lost lots of energy and vitality rapidly. I thought I was just aging, and this was just part of being in my 30s and losing testosterone. Now, I can't blame everything I'm about to say on her or the situation, but stress is the number one killer, and heartbreak is probably pretty high up on the list as well. I recently got an unfortunate report from the doctor, one that requires further lab tests and imaging, after spending 3 days in the emergency room. This news forced me to think in a capacity and from a lens that I've never had to look through before: the potential of life or death. Hello, and thank you to those tuning in and commenting on YouTube. I see y'all. This is a letter that I wrote on the plane back to LA. And I wrote this coming from DC, and we can get into why I wrote the letter and all of that as soon as I finish it. But I said, I've never had to look through this lens before: the potential of life or death. I wanted to see my mother and spend as much time with her that God allows me on this earth, in peace, without the drama. There's just one catch. That means shared space with her other son. I recently went home to rest and recover and prepare for surgery. Well, I'm writing this on a plane back to LA where I'm homeless. I got in a fight yesterday with this individual that could have landed either of us in a casket and or in prison once again. I keep removing myself from this toxic environment. I've had good days and bad days financially and professionally over the years, but the times I've gone homeless and just thugged it out until the next opportunity to earn my way out of it has been about 3 to 4 at this point. I'm now 38. It's June, Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm an artist and musician and athlete. At heart forever. Lemonade is what we make with life's lemons. Well, limes, because they're alkaline. So I asked the essential question: where can a black man go to be safe and not be a threat or a problem? I found some answers and solutions. Now, problems: neurodivergence, ADHD, Leon Eisenberg, Dr. Umar Johnson, autism, defiance disorder. What's a disability, disorder, disease? What needs and deserves and requires treatment and medicine? Keywords just thrown out there. These are all just bullet points, no particular order. Bastard, enmeshment, emotional incest, codependency, latchkey kid, detachment. Solutions. We're going to get into that. But Mashi, sensory stimuli studio, rest and recovery, rejuvenation, recharge. And we'll get into the rest. Album coming and virtual school coming. So, solutions. There are actual things that de-escalation techniques that I've already been working on and that I already apply in life. And it's just interesting. It's Mental Health Awareness Month for men's, and then all of this is happening. I'm going through, a situation during that month, but that's also sort of the content that I've been working on, behind the scenes that you may not have been able, that I just haven't shared yet. I want to see these comments. YouTube, what's up? Y'all are present today. Y'all are present. Let's see. Hi. Here's a like and a sub. Thank you. Hi. Who's here? If you're still here, you said I'm Ghost. The down cool. So, What I just shared with y'all was a letter that I wrote, and that's what's going on in my world and life at the moment, which is a lot. Um, but so this morning, I basically spazzed out, crashed out. I'm super angry. A lot of drama just happened at home, and I basically just came back to the safest space that I have for me on this earth right now, and it's really just in my car. I'm living out of my car and don't feel safe anywhere else. I don't feel safe around family. I don't. That sounds crazy. It's like when you're really lonely and you get frustrated, you want to say, I don't have any friends. You know, there are some select individuals out there that I can call a friend, so I don't want to insult them. But the mass statement in general that I just want to blurt out is I feel like I don't even have any friends. But I have a few angels and I have God. Okay. Um, things at the moment are just really bad, and I took a moment to just create through the storm, go live. Um, if I were to tie in mental health, I'll say how solutions for me and my type and this breed, this artist, the best thing for me is art and creating through the storm. That's my therapy. That is my therapy. If I see progress in my project, that is my therapy. So just next steps on that. But a while ago, uh, BetterHelp was recommended to me, a therapy app, virtual. You can do virtual calls, and YouTube is acting weird. You can do virtual calls. I did it. It was 300 out of pocket. Did it for a month, and at the end of it, it wasn't that I didn't feel it was not useful. I just like for $300, like I can do that artistically and musically. So I started going more regularly to drum circles, um, and started exploring different instruments. My main instrument growing up was tenor saxophone. Then I got into the keys slightly at the end of high school, and then I sort of dropped music altogether. Did a little, focus on my major, broadcast journalism. Fast forward into the field, pursuing both like radio and just, TV and film, screen time. And had my journey there and was always working, hustle jobs to support that could, match the availability for the audition life, given that priority. In that process, that's its own challenge and struggle. So that's survival on that end. But on a home end, whenever people go home and rest and recover, that's rest and recovery. And there's like home, like your home, and then there's like this idea of like your home foundation where you grew up, where things were like stable and safe and sane and sort of consistent, somewhere you can go back to. Community and being remembered and love and food and just hospitality and all of that. Like hugs, laughs, smiles, And what I just read for y'all was a letter of my current situation, which is I don't, you know, I don't have that. I'm a truly lonely individual out here in this world. Now, yes, I have isolated myself, but that is because that feels the safest place for me. The mind games, the reverse psychology, the just the insult to intelligence, the neglect, the gaslighting. You know, money, they say money is power, but it on this world, in this world and on this earth, it really is. And it's sad that you have to prioritize money first as opposed to a lot of other things. Because at the end of the day, you can a lot of other things, and without money, you on your own and short. Um, this particular situation was a situation where I put a lot of other things aside and tried to focus on my health and getting treatment. I need to get surgery soon, and my health care is here in Los Angeles. I'm homeless here in Los Angeles, but I'm like, if I get surgery, I'll need to rest and recover. So I need to do that at home in DC. But what is home? Home is a place where I just wrote a letter and said I just got into a major fight with a relative, and it's in a toxic environment where it's in a place where my mom has to be in between it, and it's just a bad environment. So I called this morning. What do you do? I'm upset, and it's unfortunate, but I called friends or people. You're crashing out on social media. Like right now, and I'm calm and I'm talking this morning, I screamed at the top of my lungs out of my car. Um, and so it's like when you call for help, what is help? Now, one of my guardian angels sent me some links and some steps to start with from numbers like 211. Let me actually see if I can find that page in my journal. I don't know if I was writing with a pen or just text, but she did share a lot of resources. And the way it went is I really needed help, so I listened. I went one by one down that list. Um, first resource I called was like, "What's your health care?" I was like, "Medi-Cal" or something like that, and she was like, "Well, this is $1,000 a day." So if anybody's having a mental health crisis, just know that you need to have you a G a day. And you need to have the disposition calmed enough from your crisis to be able to communicate yourself like you're presenting a whole dissertation, or get yourself tied up into some, oh, you're having a psychiatric emergency and you need to be in a straitjacket somewhere. Letting you know, like, if you're in the middle of that horror scene in that film and you're like, help, like, everything until you calm down is going to be self-incriminating because people are just going to detain you, you're crazy, and all of this stuff. So your very first thing would be to find a cool disposition and tone where you can communicate without frightening people. You got to find the sanity and composure to do that. So before you can help yourself, that is like low key before you can help yourself. And then moving on to helping yourself, you call the place. Hi, yeah, we offer resources that either route A, health insurance, this, that, and this, or here's another resource about another resource. And once you call that resource, we have resources. So you got resources talking about resources on resources on resources. Well, it just made me want to go to Webster and define what the hell is a resource. Because what is help? Now, shelters, I'm like, okay, well, I have my car. I don't need a shelter. Food, sure, that would be nice. I've gone to a food pantry before, and it was, that's crazy. You can't be a bougie homeless person, but it's nothing but poison in there. I'm sitting here talking about my health. There ain't nothing but poison. Like, what is it? Like, junk food, complete cancer in packages. Packaged cancer. It's like running for help. Now that's bougie. I love it. That is bougie. Oh, imagine that. Help, I'm hungry. This. Ah! Yes, 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 yes. That's why I say create through the storm because they ain't talking about nothing. Hello and welcome. How are you? We're talking about men's health, men's mental health month or men's health month, whichever it is. What boom, boom, bam, bam. But yeah, shit is crazy. How to survive in the middle of a crisis, baby. And I would say a sense of humor right now. And that felt good to just laugh at complete foolery. Oh my gosh. The conversations that I've had to have in the past 48 hours, the things that I've witnessed in the past 48 hours. I think I'm gonna run my letter back because people are coming and going. Haha, it says FAMU freshman 2006. Low key, like, so first off, shout outs to the class of '06, shout outs to FAMU, and shout outs to Men's Mental Health Month. Thank y'all for tuning in. And um, yeah, man. That's one place where I do know, like, you can convert, like I just said, create through the storm. Like, it's that right there that I'm sharing this right now because it's not just the life experience part. I'm like, I am an artiste, baby. I am an artist. Content is king. Damn shame. I ain't never been shamed to no shit, so I ain't worried about, what it look like. It's the process. It is the art. It's the faith. It's the God. You know, and the journey at this point, and I'm just chronicling it at this point because I do know a better day will come and will come soon. And because I asked the question and because it was affiliated with my, you know, what I was actually working on, I was like, this is way too in alignment. This is what I need, and this is also what I was also preparing to share with the world to help. Um, but unfortunately, if I were to keep it real, there is no real place to go. Oh no, I do have a few solutions. I said the barbershop, a gym, church, park, beach, or a studio. There may not be a place. Of course, your own home, if you have that. If you have that. But I'm going to take, you know, this moment to read my letter again because it's really about the art. And you know how this letter happened? I was on the plane back here and my journal was over in the overhead bin on the flight, and I was like, are we allowed to open those mid-flight? The lady was like, yeah. And then the girl next to me would have had to get up, and so she was like, you want me to get up? I was like, sure. I was like, do you happen to have a pen and paper because that'd be way easier? She was like, sure. So she gave me these 3 little sheets of paper, and that's that, and a pen, and I went to work. So once again, I wrote problem, solution, and then album and virtual school. Something I was already working on is an album and virtual school. What I was already working on was also my Amazon storefront with tools and materials for, this and opportunities for like Zoom and StreamYard, like virtual, support and consultation. But essentially, I am a barber, an artist, and had a studio that I've had probably in different forms about 3 to 4 times in different locations. And I would say that is a space where people, brothers, uh, and then natural hair, could go for rest, recovery, rejuvenation, recharge. And in general, I was already getting ready to go back to school online for sound healing and music therapy. I start next month. And a few cool things were already in the works. Um, so that's just that. It's just interesting that I have to just self apply those right now and navigate through life's challenges at the moment. So, some of my research was around the topic of neurodivergence, ADHD. I wrote Leon Eisenberg, we'll get to that, Dr. Umar Johnson, autism, defines disorder, what's a disability, what's a disorder, what's a disease, what needs and deserves. It requires treatment, medicine, bastard, enmeshment, emotional incest, codependency, latchkey kid, detachment. Um, why is this subject important to me? It's important to me because it has everything to do with a few traps and feeling like you don't have a safe place to go. And I can't go home because of these words: neurodivergence, ADHD, Leon Eisenberg, Dr. Umar Johnson, and autism. What do I mean by that? Neurodivergence. What does that look like? Well, it's a wide spectrum, but there are people living